Hey everyone, and welcome back to Voices of the Soul.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be diving into something that's
Okay.
pretty personal for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's about trust.
Yeah.
Specifically, like how to rebuild trust in a relationship
Okay.
when you've been cheated on before.
Yeah.
We're looking at a Reddit post today and all the crazy advice
Right.
that it got in the comments.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
This is.
if you're listening to this and you've been through this,
Mm-hmm.
you know how much this can mess with your head.
Oh, absolutely.
This guy's post, it's just so real and honest.
Yeah.
He's 25,
Okay.
and he's in this new relationship, and he's actually happy.
Okay.
But he's also, totally freaked out about being cheated on again.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Especially because his girlfriend is going on a trip with a friend.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like his past is, hijacking his present.
That's the thing about betrayal trauma.
Yeah.
It brings up this, deep fear of abandonment.
Yeah.
And it can make you super vigilant.
Like you're always on edge,
Exactly.
looking for any little sign that something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be so exhausting.
Yeah. It can really strain a relationship.
For sure. And he's talking about how he's trying to play it cool,
Mm-hmm.
like everything's fine.
Right.
But inside, he's freaking out.
Right.
He's even going on Reddit,
Yay.
looking for other people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that actually makes him feel better,
Yeah.
which is kind of surprising.
Well, the internet can be a weird place.
Yeah.
It can be comforting to see that you're not alone in your struggles, but it can also make your anxiety worse
Totally.
because you're constantly seeing the worst case scenario.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like a double-edged sword.
absolutely. And then there's this whole debate in the comments
Oh, yeah.
about whether you should tell your new partner about
what happened.
about being cheated on before. Some people are all about open communication.
Right?
But then others are like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah, you don't want to burden the new person with all that baggage.
Right. And that's where these avoidance coping mechanisms come in.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
So imagine you have this really messy closet.
Okay, I can picture it.
You've been avoiding cleaning it for years.
Uh-huh.
And instead of dealing with it...
You just keep shoving more stuff in
Exactly.
until you can barely open the door.
That's avoidance coping in a nutshell.
Okay.
You're basically stuffing all those difficult emotions and experiences
Into the closet.
Yeah, hoping they'll magically disappear.
But they don't.
No, just like that overstuffed closet.
They'll eventually come spilling out.
Exactly, and usually at the worst possible time.
So in this case,
Yeah,
he's trying to avoid facing his anxiety by pretending everything's okay.
exactly. He's closing the door on that messy closet.
But that doesn't really work long term.
Not at all.
So what's the alternative?
Well,
Is it always better to just be completely honest?
not necessarily. It's more about finding a balance.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Finding a way to share your vulnerabilities without overwhelming your partner.
Right.
Maybe start by sharing little bits of your story.
As you get to know each other better.
Exactly. As trust builds, you can share more.
Okay. So he's dealing with this fear of betrayal.
Right.
He's getting all this conflicting advice about communication.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying not to burden his girlfriend with his past.
Yeah, it's a lot to navigate.
So what happens next?
Well, in the middle of all this,
Yeah.
he comes across some advice that really resonates with him.
Okay.
Someone would suggest that he focuses on building a fulfilling single life.
Really?
Yeah, so that the fear of being cheated on
Mhm.
wouldn't feel so catastrophic.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah,
It's not what you'd expect
I know.
for relationship advice.
But think about it.
Okay.
If your entire happiness depends on your romantic relationship, any threat to that relationship can feel like the end of the world. Well, that makes sense.
It's like putting all your eggs in one basket,
Right.
which makes you way more scared of losing it.
And more anxious and insecure.
Exactly.
But if you have a life outside of the relationship,
Yeah.
if you have your own passions and friends and you're working on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
then being alone isn't so scary.
Exactly.
It's about having a strong foundation.
Yes.
So you're not relying on your partner for everything
It's like building a house on solid ground.
instead of shaky sand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A strong sense of self and a fulfilling life.
Mm-hmm.
Create this buffer so even if the relationship ends,
Yeah,
your whole world doesn't fall apart.
that's a really good point.
It's also about challenging this idea that being single is a bad thing.
Right.
It's an opportunity to discover yourself,
Yeah.
grow, and create a life you love.
Regardless of whether you're in a relationship or not.
Exactly.
So it's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between being fully present in the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but also having your own independence and sense of self. Exactly. It's about taking those lessons from your past,
Yeah.
both the good and the bad,
Mm-hmm.
and using them to become a stronger and more resilient.
Yeah. I love that. And in this case, the guy on Reddit,
Yeah.
he decides to take that advice.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, instead of talking to his girlfriend right away
Mm-hmm.
about all his fears,
Right.
he decides to work on his trust issues on his own.
That's a big step.
He wants to heal those wounds from his past
Yeah.
so he can start fresh in this new relationship.
That's a really courageous decision.
It shows he's committed to personal growth,
Mm.
and he recognizes that he's responsible for his own emotional well-being.
Exactly. He's not blaming his girlfriend or his past,
Right, he's taking ownership of his feelings.
which is the first step to healing.
It's like he's saying, I'm not going to let my past control my future.
Yeah.
I'm going to face these fears and learn to trust again.
That takes a lot of self-awareness and courage.
It does, because it's so easy to get stuck in blaming others
Oh, absolutely.
for how we feel.
But true healing comes from taking responsibility for our own inner world.
So it's a journey of self-discovery and self-healing.
Exactly. And that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
Awesome, can't wait.
We'll look at the specific steps he takes to rebuild trust,
That was good.
both in himself and in others.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick break,
Okay.
but don't go anywhere.
No, we'll be right back.
We'll be back to unpack more of this Reddit story
Mm-hmm.
and the valuable lessons it holds for anyone who's ever struggled with trust after being betrayed.
It's a universal struggle.
It really is. So stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Voices of the Soul.
Yeah,
So before the break, we were talking about this guy on Reddit
right.
who's like really struggling with trust issues
Yeah.
in his new relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And he's decided to like work on himself first
Yeah.
before bringing his girlfriend into it.
Which is huge.
Yeah, it's a big step.
Absolutely.
But like, what does that even look like?
Right. What does that self-work actually involve?
Yeah.
Well, rebuilding trust.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about like willpower.
Okay.
It's about actually rewiring your brain
Well,
and learning to like manage your emotions.
so it's not just like telling yourself to trust her.
No, not at all.
It's deeper than that.
Much deeper.
Oh, okay.
It's about understanding that after being betrayed,
Yeah.
your brain goes into like protection mode.
Protection mode.
Yeah, it's like a smoke detector
Yeah, okay.
that's become way too sensitive.
Uh-huh.
So even the smallest thing, like your girlfriend going on a trip,
Right.
sets off those alarm bells.
It's like a false alarm.
Exactly.
So how do you like reset that smoke detector?
Well, the first step is noticing when those alarms are going off.
Okay.
It's about becoming aware of your feelings.
Self-awareness.
Exactly. Notice those moments when you feel anxious
Mm-hmm.
or jealous.
Like when she mentions a guy friend.
Exactly. Or when you have the urge to check her phone.
Oh, yeah.
Don't judge yourself for those feelings.
Notice them.
Just acknowledge that they're there.
So it's like saying, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now.
Yeah,
But this is just my past trauma talking.
exactly. It's not necessarily reality.
It's like separating your emotional reaction from the actual situation.
Exactly. And once you've acknowledged those feelings,
Yeah.
you can start to challenge the thoughts behind them.
Instead of letting them spiral out of control.
Exactly.
So instead of assuming the worst,
Hmm.
you pause and ask yourself,
Yeah.
is there any real evidence to support this fear?
Right. Or am I just letting my past dictate my present? And often when you really examine those fears,
Yeah.
you'll find that they're based on assumptions.
Not facts.
Exactly.
But what if those fears are like so ingrained
Right.
that you just can't seem to shake them?
Well, that's where healthy coping mechanisms come in.
Okay. Coping mechanism.
Yeah. Think of it as building a toolkit.
A toolkit.
Yeah, for emotional regulation.
Okay. I like that.
So instead of doing unhealthy things,
Like what?
like isolating yourself or trying to control your partner, you learn these tools to help you soothe your anxiety
Okay.
and feel more calm and secure.
So what are some examples of these tools?
Well, mindfulness is super powerful.
Mindfulness.
Yeah, learning to focus on your breath,
Mm.
being present in your body,
Okay.
observing your thoughts without judgment.
Mm.
It can really help you detach from those spiraling anxieties.
It's like hitting the pause button on your thoughts.
Exactly. It's about training your mind
Yeah.
to stay grounded in the present moment.
Instead of getting lost in those what ifs.
Exactly. And the worst case scenarios.
Right.
And there are other things you can add to your toolkit too.
Like what?
Journaling,
Okay.
exercise,
Uh-huh.
spending time in nature,
I like that one.
engaging in creative activities.
Yeah.
These things can help shift your focus.
Away from your anxiety.
Exactly. And tap into your inner strength and resilience.
It's like building up your emotional immune system.
Exactly. So you can better handle those stressful moments.
And I imagine this takes time.
Oh, absolutely. Healing from betrayal takes time.
Yeah.
Be patient with yourself.
It's a process.
Exactly, not a quick fix.
So let's talk about communication again.
Okay.
You mentioned before that it's not always a good idea to dump all your baggage on a new partner.
Right.
So how do you find that balance between being open and honest without overwhelming them?
Well, it's about being mindful of your partner's emotional capacity
Okay.
and the level of trust you've built.
Mm-hmm.
You can start by sharing small pieces of your story
Yeah.
as the relationship progresses.
Like little by little.
Exactly. Pay attention to their reactions.
Okay.
And if they seem receptive and supportive,
Yeah.
you can gradually share more.
Like testing the waters.
Exactly. Before diving in. And remember, it's not just about sharing your past.
Yeah.
It's also about expressing your needs and expectations in the present.
So for someone who's been betrayed,
Yeah.
that might involve asking for reassurance, setting boundaries,
Yeah.
or like expressing your anxieties in a healthy way.
Exactly.
So instead of silently fuming when your girlfriend goes out with her friends,
Right.
you might say something like,
Yeah.
hey, I know this is irrational, but I'm feeling a little anxious about you going out tonight. Could you just text me when you get home so I know you're safe?
Perfect example.
It's about being vulnerable
Yeah.
and expressing your needs without blaming or accusing your partner.
Exactly. And that's where communication styles come into play.
Right, because it's not just about talking.
It's about listening,
Yeah.
validating, and responding in a way that strengthens the connection.
Rather than creating distance.
Exactly. And sometimes,
Yeah.
despite our best efforts, trust issues can become so deep-rooted
Right.
that we need professional help to unravel them.
That's where therapy can be really helpful.
Absolutely. A therapist can provide a safe space to explore those fears and insecurities,
Yeah.
understand where they come from, and develop healthier coping mechanisms.
Like having a guide to help you navigate your own mind.
Exactly. And sometimes those patterns of distrust are so deeply ingrained that we don't even realize they're there.
Wow.
Therapy can help us see those blind spots and make conscious choices.
That align with our values.
Exactly.
So it's about moving from a place of fear to a
Yeah.
place of awareness and choice and empowerment.
Exactly. And ultimately, rebuilding trust isn't just about finding a trustworthy partner.
Okay.
It's about becoming a trustworthy partner to ourselves.
I love that.
It's about cultivating that inner sense of security and wholeness.
So we can approach relationships from a place of strength and authenticity.
Exactly.
Welcome back to Voices of the Soul.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the emotional roller coaster of rebuilding trust, the conflicting advice, and the strategies for like actually doing it.
Right.
But there's one thing we haven't really talked about yet.
What's that?
The lasting impact
Oh, yeah.
of betrayal trauma.
That's a big one.
Because it's not just a one-time event.
No, it's not.
It can really leave these deep wounds that affect us for years,
Absolutely.
even after the initial hurt is gone.
It can change how we see relationships.
Yeah.
How we feel about ourselves, even how we connect with other people.
It's like this ripple effect.
Exactly.
The initial impact is huge,
Yeah.
but then those ripples just keep spreading out,
And they can touch every part of your life.
affecting everything.
And for some people,
Yeah.
those ripples can lead to some serious issues.
Like what?
Anxiety, depression, even PTSD.
Wow.
They might always be on edge.
Like looking for signs of danger?
Exactly. Or they might have trouble trusting anyone.
Even if that person is totally trustworthy.
Right. Or they might just feel numb and detached.
So it's not just about getting over the initial betrayal.
Yeah.
It's about dealing with these deeper wounds.
Exactly. Those wounds that can stick around for years.
And that's where this idea of post-traumatic growth comes in.
Okay. Post-traumatic growth.
It's like this idea that even though trauma can break us, it can also be an opportunity for healing.
Right. And transform us.
It can make us stronger.
Exactly.
Have you ever heard of kintsugi?
Kintsugi.
It's this Japanese art
Oh, yeah.
where they repair broken pottery with gold.
I've seen that.
So the cracks are still there,
Yeah.
but they're filled with something beautiful.
It's like the pottery is even more beautiful because it was broken.
Exactly. And that's kind of like post-traumatic growth.
I see the connection.
It's about finding meaning and purpose in the midst of all that suffering.
So you're not defined by your pain.
Right. It's about acknowledging the pain,
Yeah.
honoring the journey, and coming out stronger on the other side.
I love
And
that.
how do you actually do that?
Right.
It's not like you can just magically make it happen.
It's a process.
Okay.
And often it requires some help.
Like therapy?
Exactly. Therapy can give you that safe space to process those traumatic experiences,
Yeah.
challenge those negative thoughts,
Okay.
and develop those healthy coping mechanisms we talked about.
It's like having a surgeon help you put the pieces back together.
Making you stronger than before.
And in therapy,
Yeah.
you can start to change the story you tell yourself.
About what happened.
Instead of seeing yourself as a victim, you start to see your own strength,
Yeah.
your resilience, and your ability to grow. It's about taking back your power.
Yes.
Recognizing that even though you were hurt,
You're not defined by that hurt.
exactly, and that change in perspective
Yeah.
can be so powerful.
It gives you hope for the future.
It's like acknowledging the darkness, but also focusing on the light.
The potential for healing and transformation.
And that's what's amazing about us humans.
Yeah.
Our ability to find meaning,
And purpose.
even when things are really tough.
Even in the midst of suffering.
So we've covered a lot today
We have.
about trust after betrayal.
It's a complex topic.
It is. But I think the most important thing to remember
Yeah.
is that healing takes time.
Be patient with yourself.
And celebrate the small wins along the way.
Those wins are important.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
There are so many resources out there.
Whether it's therapy, support groups,
Online communities.
friends, family.
Whatever works for you.
It's so important to connect with people who understand.
Been there?
And most importantly,
Yeah.
remember that you are worthy of love and trust.
You deserve it.
Don't let someone from your past define your worth.
Or control your future.
Rebuilding trust after betrayal.
It's hard.
It is, but it's a journey worth taking.
It really is.
It's a journey of self-discovery,
Yeah.
growth,
And empowerment.
and it can lead to deeper
More fulfilling.
with yourself and with others.
And that's what it's all about.
Connection
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
into the world of trust after betrayal.
We hope this conversation has helped.
Maybe sparked some introspection
Some healing
and a renewed belief in the power of the human heart.
to mend and love again.
If you enjoyed this episode,
Yeah.
make sure to subscribe to Voices of the Soul
And check out Shauna Pelage's YouTube channel.
for more insightful content.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time,
Keep seeking.
keep growing.
And keep believing in the power of trust.